Hi, Facebook. Guess what? We're about to do a show, and guess who our guest is? Our guest, right on cue, shows up. Lovely jacket. This is Jenna Suru. She's going to be telling us about her new film, L'Âge d'Or. So yeah, check us out. We're about to go live. Oh, we're about to go live. It's already live, but you're live on Facebook. So thank you for tuning in. Jenna, say hi.
Hello. Hi.
Right.
Thanks for having me.
It's all good. It's all good. You're going to be telling us. You know what? We've already talked about this. She's going to be telling us all about her film as well as a lot about French films. So if you can think of any of your favorite top 5 French films, send it to us on Shoot the Breeze at Resonance 104.4 FM on Facebook. Anyway, gotta go.
The first line is, my name is Claude, so just repeat after me. Je m'appelle Claude.
Love to see.
Wow.
Let's try it again.
Oh, yeah, like
Friends.
Friends.
Yes.
I didn't you? Quite what I'm saying.
Nice edit, producer Dave. Like.
So we can look at here, right?
You can look there if you want to see people on there or on Facebook.
But right now they don't see us. It's only.
It's only people who are listening on Facebook Live that are going to be seeing us. But it's radio, so obviously people in their cars and whatnot are going to be watching this. If they're watching this on Facebook, then that's shouldn't be watching this and driving. So
yeah, this is what I mean, right?
Anywho's right. Let's go. Hello and welcome to Shoot the Breeze on Resonance 104.4 FM, the film and TV radio show where a handful of film enthusiasts shoot the breeze about all things film and television. I am Marcus E. Acko, and apparently we've ended the show. We're gonna have words with producer Dave, but it's not producer Dave. It's okay. Anyway, I'm introducing myself. My name is Marcus E. Acko, and the last what is it going to be? Is it going to be TV show? Is it going to be TV show? Should we do that? Should we do that? Let's do that. Okay. The last TV show I watched was The Runaways on Sci-Fi. Should we go? Let's go with Laura. Hey, Laura. Welcome back, Laura. Hey, everyone, give me a little round of applause. Welcome back, Laura. Welcome back.
Hi. I'd like to welcome Shoot the Breeze back to me. My name is Laura Sampson, and the last thing I watched on TV was the new series of Dororo, an anime that was made. I mean, it was made. There was a series made back in the 60s, but it's been remade from a manga that was written by Osamu Tezuka, who wrote Astro Boy and lots of other famous manga, and it's really very engaging. I've watched the first 5 episodes pretty much back to back.
So it's called what again? Dororo.
Dororo, which is the name of one of the main characters.
How do you spell that?
Dororo.
Okay, fair enough. Dororo. Okay. Fair enough.
Yes, it's one of the main characters, and it's kind of a supernatural revenge story involving samurais and sword fights and supernatural warfare.
All right, let's throw it to the third person in the threesome. Go on.
Yeah, good evening.
He was like, what?
I was looking around thinking, who on earth is he talking about? The last thing I saw on TV, it was a documentary series called Alaska.
Okay.
Yeah, The Last Frontier.
What channel?
It was on, I was just about to say Travel Channel, it's not, it's D-Max.
D-Max, okay.
I had it on because I was doing something else at the time.
Okay.
I was doing a lot of editing. So.
Oh, fair enough. For a second, I was like,
yeah.
Do you want to share that on air? No, don't worry.
I shared.
Is that right? Excellent. Well, we're not alone in the studio. We are in the studio with the director of L'Âge d'Or. Please tell us your name and the last thing that you watched on television.
Yeah, great about the pronunciation, by the way. Yes.
Well, when I went L'Âge, no, not L'Âge, it's L'Âge d'Or. I keep saying that.
Yeah, thank you for introducing. I'm Jenna Suru. I'm the female director and lead actor of the feature film L'Âge d'Or.
And what was the last TV show that you watched?
And so I think the last TV show I watched, I'm pretty sure it was a few days ago. I watched it for probably the 3rd time. It's called Call My Agent. It's French at 50%, and it's the most incredible series ever.
It's on
hilarious.
Netflix, right?
It's also Netflix. Yes.
I
Also
stumbled
it does.
onto it by accident. I was watching another, I can't remember what TV show I was watching, and it finished. And you know how Netflix do the whole recommend thing? It immediately just started playing because I was distracted and I hadn't pressed, cancel. And this thing just came on, and I was like, "What is this?" And it's just right. And I was watching it. I was really getting into it. I've seen the first episode. I need to go back and catch up because of tons of other stuff. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's if you're into it, it's pretty much set. It's set in Paris, and it's about like the acting world and agents, and I'm really interested in that sort of stuff. There's a TV show on Watch at the moment called Flack. Is it Flack? Flack. It's called Flack. It's got what's her name from True Blood? Sorry, I know I'm diverting. It's the same kind of thing, but it's about it's about a PR firm, and it's the same sort of thing. Call My Agent. Anyway, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. You're listening to Shoot the Breeze on Resonance 104.4 FM. I'm Marcus E. Acko.
I'm Laura Sampson.
And I'm David Campbell.
Oh, those of you who have been listening before may want to say, "Well, hold on a second." David Campbell, how he feels his voice just feels so relaxed today. It's like he has nothing to do today. That's true. Producer Dave is not behind the mic. Is not behind the control board. It's Laura Sampson behind the control board. So anything that goes wrong, we're gonna be blaming Laura. And
No, you're not.
How can you be mad at that face?
That's exactly what I mean.
Exactly. I'm just saying. So here's what's gonna happen. Every time Laura does something wrong, I'm gonna have a go at David. Right? Are we okay with that? Jenna, are we okay with that?
Yeah, fine.
You
That
agree with
sounds fair.
That sounds fair, right? That's good.
David.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're gonna be talking more to Jenna Suru. That's how you pronounce your name, right? Jenna Suru.
Yeah, Suru. Yes.
Suru.
That's it.
Okay. Suru. Jenna Suru. We're talking more about her project, Large Door, and more about her career as a filmmaker. We'll also do our top 5 favorite French films. We've all got we've all got our picks, right? We've all got our picks.
Yep.
Good. I've got my pick here as well. I'm gonna hide that away so nobody copies me. So we'll do that much later on in the show. If you have your top 5 favorite French films and you want to get us to talk about it on air, please tell us what it is, and we can send it to Shoot the Breeze on Resonance 104.4 FM on Facebook or on Twitter at STB_Resonance FM, and we're going to read it out and we'll say, hey, check out this French film. Anyway, but before any of that stuff, let's do film and TV news. All right.
Yeah, Agnes Varda. I've never seen any of her films, but I've heard so much good stuff about her. And all of the top 100, she has at least 3 or 4 in each one. Okay. You're gonna have to watch her.
Right. So the news that we're going to be talking about today, Apple have decided to go and do their own streaming service.
No.
They've joined in the plethora of companies doing streaming services like Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, HBO, even BBC are doing theirs as well. ITV are doing theirs. And David said something to me today that kind of threw me off guard. David, you were saying about BBC, because I knew about BBC and ITV teaming up to do BritBox in the UK.
Okay.
But you said that they were already doing BritBox in America. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
How long has that been happening?
I can't remember how long it's been going.
Yeah.
But they'd already started BritBox over in the States. Okay. And they just wanted to bring it over here. Apparently they wanted to do years and years ago, before, I think it was from the research I had, before you had Amazon Prime and Netflix as big as they are now. They wanted to do a streaming service over here, and they were told they couldn't do so by the regulator.
I see. Okay.
So
because there's not much of a market, and so it would be a monopoly in a sense if they were going to go and do that.
That's right.
Whereas Netflix, them coming in, that was their main source, as opposed to BBC that had broadcasting, they had films, etc. Netflix came in; it was easier for them to be accepted in the UK. But now that everyone is doing it, and now Apple want to step in and do it. It seems it's now fair game. Everyone can step in and jump in on the market, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Now, okay, I'll come back to my thoughts about Apple doing it. Jenna, what is your opinion on the whole idea of companies flooding the market with these new streaming services? So rather than going to the cinema or just focusing on terrestrial TV, you now can get a streaming service to your phone or your tablet. And what's your opinion on that?
Well, I think it's definitely the tendency today. It's also a great opportunity. Before, when it was only about the theaters, maybe dozens of years ago now, well, obviously all the distributors would spend so much money on marketing.
Yes.
And it would be like basically the distribution world will be only for the biggest companies. Whereas what's really exciting today is that through those services, it actually gives a voice to also independent filmmakers who can market themselves on social media. Or through other ways that are not as pricey as would like traditional marketing be. Like for instance, I had the opportunity to work at SMG, who at the time was #1 in France for distribution services. So I had this great opportunity to work on great releases. Like Divergente at the time. There was also Yves Saint Laurent, and it was just really exciting to see how you can push movies on those platforms like iTunes and all the ones we know now. And yeah, I think it's definitely the tendency at the time.
That's right, and I guess it is more accessible for people to. I mean, like I was mentioning, you could watch Netflix on your phone, but you can't watch something. I was going to say you can't watch Sky Atlantic on your phone as well, but that is different now because you've got Now TV, which you can stream to your phone. So everyone's now going into the streaming market. So the question I want to ask is to everyone in the room and to those out there who are listening either on Facebook or on Resonance FM. Do you think streaming services are now going to replace terrestrial TV? Let's go around the room. Laura, I'm going to start with you.
Do I think streaming services are going to replace terrestrial TV?
Yes.
No, but I think that terrestrial TV is becoming almost like a potluck streaming service anyway.
Okay.
So sometimes I turn on terrestrial TV. Most of the time I don't. I'm glad it's there.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's nice to watch things exactly the same time as other people.
Sure.
But I do think there is room for all of it if people are still okay to pay the. It might be that there's only BBC left because they're the only people who are funded by taxpayers' money.
Until that gets cut.
But whilst people are still paying the TV license, maybe I just hope that will carry on.
That's fine. Let's throw it to Dave. David, what do you think?
I don't think so. I think there are a lot of people in the country who view the TV license as their payment for TV, full stop. So you've got BBC, you've got all the BBC channels and the radio and everything else, and that is how it's funded through the TV license. The ITV, Channel 4, they're funded through advertising. You've got Channel 5 through advertising as well. So they're going to stay terrestrial. They make original content which will feed into a streaming channel, and that's the and for me, the streaming channels will be an additional funding revenue source for the terrestrial channels, BBC, ITV. When I checked, BritBox came about in 2017 in the States. And it's only going to come over here now 2 years later. They've got about 250,000 subscribers over there. But what they do is everything that's made over here and shown over here, Coronation Street, all that stuff like that, is shown over there. It's shown over there a day or so later. So it comes out terrestrial first and then goes over there, and that's the way it's going. It's not going to be the other way around. It's going to be like that.
Fair enough. If you disagree with what David has said, I don't know why I'm just focusing on you, and you agree with what Laura said, feel free to send us your thoughts.
Saying almost exactly the same thing.
That's what you think. If you disagree with David and you agree with Laura, or you think you just don't know, and maybe it should replace it, then send us your messages on Shoot the Breeze at Resonance 104.4 FM on Facebook with the hashtag It's All About the Three-Way or a hashtag Shoot the Breeze Show. I'll explain why it doesn't matter. I won't even explain. It's fine. Send us your messages and tell us what you think. If you think terrestrial TV is going to die and it'll be replaced by streaming services, please let us know and we can talk about it on air. Or if you just want to send us your top 5 favorite French films, we're waiting. We're listening. Tina Vieira. Tina has just sent a message on Facebook just saying, hi, kisses from Madeira. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening, and thank you for tuning in on Facebook Live with live streaming. And we've got our guest in the studio with us. But before we introduce who she is, again, we're going to do Spotlight.
Oh, are we?
Yes, we are. Producer Dave.
Sorry.
Get it
Yeah.
right, producer David.
Yeah, I'm not behind the desk. I'm not pushing any buttons, but I get blamed anyway. Yeah, right. Okay, go on.
Anyway, it's now time for Spotlight, and in the studio with us, you are listening to Shoot the Breeze on Resonance 104.4 FM. We have Jenna Suru, who's the filmmaker behind L'Âge d'Or. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Marcus E. Acko.
I'm Laura Sampson.
I'm David Campbell.
Okay, so tell us, what is L'Âge d'Or?
So L'Âge d'Or is a period drama set in the 60s
Mhm.
and in 1970. So it's the film that I directed, my company produced, called Belle Epoque Film.
Mhm.
And it's a movie with a very important message. It's a film about this Franco-American producer in the 60s. We're actually in May 1967.
Mhm.
So if you think about it, it's exactly a year before May 1968. And so this Franco-American producer decides to flee America to Paris because he doesn't want to go to the Vietnam War. And in Paris, he goes there in his mother's footsteps.
Okay.
And this is where he meets, through coincidence or maybe destiny, this theater actress that I'm being in the film.
Played by someone that we seem to recognize, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, played by yourself, that is, yeah.
Exactly. And so together they realize they share that feeling that they just can't stand the world they live in, that it just doesn't work for them. Well, obviously, his father is in the military services. So after the 2 wars, he imagines something different to move forward. And she, as a woman, is very modern. She's very independent. So obviously, at the time, women wouldn't have exactly the same activities.
Yeah.
And so they realize that they really both want to change this world that just doesn't work for them. And this is why they decide to embark on an artistic project together and end up in a village in the south of France, but this village is Saint-Tropez.
So the title of the movie, L'Âge d'Or, that's the golden age, right?
Yes.
So that's if I were to take what you've just said and interpret that in combination with what the title is, you're looking at a point where artists are meeting together and they have the opportunity to create a new world for themselves in Saint-Tropez.
Exactly, find inspiration. And I think they really did. And what really inspires me and what I think really important, what really humbles me, is that at the time, how artists really changed the world. If you take only just one example, there are so many artists that went to Saint-Tropez at the time to find inspiration. For instance, if you think about the Beatles, I just think what they did was so incredible. Not only is their music inspiring and entertaining, and was it so successful, but also, for instance, when we were, I believe it was in 1964, they were on the very first US tour. And I believe over the summer, the Civil Rights Acts had just been signed. And I think it's on September 11th when they were supposed to play a concert in this city called Jacksonville in the US. And they decided that they would not play in front of a segregated audience.
Yes.
So they really made that choice of not playing. And it's really interesting conversation to have, because many people think that because they're the Beatles and they're so famous, they can do this. But I don't know, actually, it's such a hard decision, because especially at the time, we didn't know there was this big band. We thought it was just this famous band that in a year or two would be forgotten. But by making this choice, which was really hard, especially because they were so famous and had so much to lose, they really managed to change the world. And so the film is a tribute about those artists that did it.
So that was your inspiration behind the film, because that was going to be my next question. What was your inspiration behind getting these artists to meet up in Saint-Tropez? And then, but you just described the fact that artists have the opportunity to change the world if they are courageous enough to stand up for their own beliefs.
Exactly.
Is that the same sort of structure that you go with in this particular movie?
Yes, that also definitely the music. We have an outstanding soundtrack as part of the film, and also the village of Saint-Tropez, and also Paris. We shot a little bit in Los Angeles too. If you think about Saint-Tropez, even today, I was amazed as an artist, because I discovered Saint-Tropez through the eyes of an artist, because I discovered it as a filmmaker, and I was just amazed by how, like, if you just have a walk in Saint-Tropez, it's incredible how inspiring it is, like the scenery, but also the people. It's all about authenticity, and you can really understand why so many artists, especially at the time, went there to find inspiration and really change that world. So.
Okay. Just want to give a shout out to Gerard Scheitler from Luxembourg. Thank you very much for joining in and listening in. Gerard he's been listening to the show since the very beginning. He speaks 600-700 different languages, and one of the languages that he speaks is French. He loves to tell us about all his adventures across the world. So
Nice.
you mentioned going to Saint-Tropez, which is for those of us who have not had the opportunity yet, like yourself and like Gerard, to go to such luxurious places. Tell us, what is it about Saint-Tropez that elicits such such passion and inspiration for artists, hence the reason why they go in there?
I think this village is extremely magical and special. So first, if you have a world there, obviously it's just so beautiful. The sea, the harbor, but it's not just about that. Before the 60s, Saint-Tropez was just a harbor.
Okay.
And there is this woman you probably know, whose name is Brigitte Bardot, who went there.
I've heard the name. Yeah.
And so she starred in those movies like God Created Women by Roger Vadim. And this harbor just became famous because of those movies and because of how incredible the light is there. It's so special on camera.
Okay.
And all those artists like the Stones, like Jimmy Reed, like all the biggest artists from the world of music, film, literature would go there to find inspiration. And I think this is what is special about it. It's also something in the air. This is how I feel it. Like when I wanted to shoot there with my amazing cast crew, the production manager, everyone who was part of the film, and all the partners, like there are some partners who I'm from Saint-Tropez, but been incredible. And they just have this connection. There is something special about art there.
Okay, that's good. You listen to Shoot the Breeze on Resonance 104.4 FM. I'm Marcus Iacco.
I'm Laura Sampson.
And I'm David Campbell.
With us in the studio is Jenna Suru, who's talking about L'Âge d'Or, the film that she's directed, produced, and stars in as well. Any of you guys want to throw questions to Jenna?
Well, I actually wanted to quickly ask, you've got a production company, and it's called Belle Époque.
Belle Époque Film, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why did you choose that name?
Oh, because well, actually, I opened the company a little more than 4 years ago. I was actually in London when I opened it, but it's definitely a French film company, and I wanted to find a name that was inspiring not only for French people but also for internationals. So the equivalent, I think, of La Belle Époque would be the Gilded Age, and it's
The Golden Age.
The Golden Age, basically, yeah. And it's not just about France, because obviously at the time there were so many things that happened. In terms of technology, so much improvement, but it happened not only in Paris and France, but also in the UK and in the US. And it's also a name that's possible to pronounce in a lot of languages, which is important. You know, Belle Époque Film is something that you can say in many languages, and it sounds French. And French is so important for art, so I find it inspiring and beautiful.
That leads really nicely onto my question, actually. It's actually two questions. So the first one is, how internationally are you releasing the film? And the second one is going back to the lovely locations. I think Saint-Tropez was just one of many locations where you shot the film.
Very true, very true. I was very lucky that as part of my first experiences, I've been working in distribution. So at the two top distributors in France, which are S&D that I mentioned before, but also Gaumont. So even when I wrote the film, I wanted to make sure that obviously it was very inspiring and beautiful, but also that it was interesting from a sales point of view. So we shot not only in France, but also a little bit in Los Angeles. We shot in more than 35 exceptional locations.
35?
Yeah, and like, believe me or not, but like absolutely all of them were my number one choice. And this is also why the movie is so special. It's a film about authenticity and inspiration as an artist. So there was no way we were shooting the movie in places that didn't look authentic. Like, for instance, we shot in an actual train and station from the time, like the real ones. We shot where they shot God Created Women on the harbor of Saint-Tropez. We shot right by the Eiffel Tower. We closed the bridge there to shoot one of the opening scenes. We shot where they shot La Vie en Rose with Marion Cotillard in a restaurant. All those places look so period, and they really helped to make the film look special. And also I have such an incredible team, like especially, you know, the production manager and all the departments, because obviously it's a pure drama, so everything has to look very detailed and precise. To dress all those sets, We even rebuilt, recreated a Hollywood studio from the 60s. So that was exciting. So every detail really is important, and it was really magical.
Okay.
And this is what you see on screen.
How did you get into film?
You know what? I've always been in love with movies. I started acting when I was about 8 years old in Paris. So I started, put it like this, as an actor. I was doing theater acting.
Okay.
I loved it so much that I just went to Los Angeles to learn more acting there. And this is where I also learned a lot about directing and producing and even makeup and like everything that you need to know. Because I feel that as a director, especially, it could be true for any department, but as a director in particular, it's very important to know what everyone in the cast and crew is doing, so you can have a real conversation, share your vision, and really bring the best out of people, not only the production manager, but also obviously the actors, the crew, the DP, everyone really. And so this is how it started. And I think it's when I was in LA, I really made my final commitment of, making my life about filmmaking.
Yeah.
And also I've lived 2 years full time in London, and like the people I've met here, people have such an amazing spirit with art, indie filmmaking, bringing ideas, and it was very inspiring, and it taught me a lot. So that was important.
Okay, Gerard Scheitel has just come up with a question as well. He says, what is the hardest in this industry? So if I were to interpret this question, what is the hardest? And I'll add an extra inflection because something you mentioned earlier. For a woman, what is the hardest part of being in the industry?
I think maybe something that is really hard is that there are many things that can go wrong.
Okay.
Like, especially like even, let's imagine you have a really big budget or a blockbuster, but you need to, because you can't compromise with your vision so much, you really need to shoot outside. So it might be really hard to control the weather or to control someone like the lead actor being ill. There are many things that can happen wrong. So imagine with a small budget or like with an indie production, there are so many things that can go wrong. I would say what's really exciting and very challenging, but also extremely difficult, is to be able to manage so much at the same time.
Sure.
Especially for me, I was very lucky, but actually I've been directing and lead acting at the same time. So it's really not for everyone, but I'm lucky that not being a method actor, but more of a technical actor, I can actually switch on and off really quickly.
Sure.
It's actually quite a challenge to be switching from directing to acting and back and forth.
That was going to be my next question, actually. Lots of Hollywood actor directors do it, but not that many. I can't actually think of a famous female actor director. It's usually a guy, isn't it?
No, I can think of
Clint
a couple.
Eastwood,
Oh, what is her name?
Ben Affleck, George Clooney.
They're not women.
No, definitely not, right?
But who is a female actor director?
The one from Girls. I'm really, you know me. I'm terrible. Lena Dunham. Then there's I'm terrible with names. She was in the film with Simon Pegg, where she's American, but she played a British girl. In the movie, they were on blind dates, but they mistook each other for the other person's blind date, etc. And they started. I can't remember her name. It's gonna kill me.
Sorry, I'm just gonna have to move on from that.
Of course, that's fine. But no, there are a couple. But you're absolutely right. There are fewer female director actresses in front of the camera. David had a question.
I did, but it's gone out of my head now. I was trying to think about that.
Fair enough. You're trying to think of answer to her question.
Yeah,
all right, then I'll close off Spotlight with my final question. And I think it's probably okay.
I just remember that.
Go on.
If someone wants to see Large Door, how are they going to be able to see it?
Thank you for taking my last question.
Oh, definitely the best.
Another last question. So I
it's an important question.
It is. I apologize.
How can we see the film?
Please answer David's question.
So we're I think definitely the best way to see Large Door is to follow us on social media. So we are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So the name on Instagram is Large Door Film, and we're gonna release soon news very regularly as we're doing now. So definitely, it will be shown somewhere near you. So please stay tuned because it's coming fairly soon.
Perfect.
The other question I was going to ask was, have you got any other films? Have you produced any other films that people might be able to see? Any short films, or have you? And if so, can people see them now?
Yeah, absolutely. When I was in London, I co-produced this short film that is called The Bigger Picture. It was kind of exciting because we shot it on film, so that was an experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it starred Robert Sheehan and Rosie Day. So that was quite a great short film that was shown into festivals.
I like Robert Sheehan. He's currently on Netflix, The Umbrella Academy.
I loved it.
Yeah, and he's also from Misfits. If any of you, that was the first thing I saw him in, Misfits. He's a great actor. But yeah, so that's a short film that you've done with him?
Yes.
Okay.
Amazing actor, and I love him in Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
He's just incredible. Rosie Day is great too.
Okay.
So versatile.
Excellent.
Yeah, amazing.
Producer David, do you have any more questions?
No, I still waiting to find out how you're going to be able to see him.
Okay. So Producer David is asking you, I'm going to mansplain for Producer David. How can you see this film with Robert Sheehan and Rosie Day?
It's actually on VOD. It's actually online. If you check the Instagram page, The Bigger Picture Film, you should be able to get the info, but you can actually see it right now.
And we're going to put all of those social media links on all of our pages. We're going to put it on our Facebook page, Shoot the Breeze on Resonance 104.4 FM. Also on our Twitter link, we'll send that out, which is at @STB_Resonance FM. And on Instagram as well, we'll put that out, and we'll link all those notes to. I was going to ask questions, but Producer Dave has already taken up all my questions, so that's fine. Do you have any other questions you want to ask before we move on?
It's really nice that I actually managed to get in first.
What are you trying to imply? Please. Anyway, thank you, Jenna, very much for joining us on the show. You're still going to stay around because we're going to move into the next segment, which is going to be our top 5 favorites.
I've been holding that cough for a long time.
I know, same here. Let's go, same thing.
Wow, I need to see that film. How did you? And I want to hire whoever you got for your location scouts. Did you do all the location scouting yourself?
Just before we go into top 5 films, just want to say Aubrey Madison says is at Aubrey Madison saying hi to Jenna.
That's so lovely. Thank you so much for listening, Aubrey. And if I just have 1 second, I would like to thank everyone who's listening. Aubrey, like everyone, you've been amazing listeners. Thank you so much for your reaction. It's very appreciated.
She's saying we'll keep each other up, so you keep her up, whatever what that means. So that's excellent. Right, so you're listening to Shoot the Breeze on Resonance 104.4 FM. I'm Marcus E. Acko.
I'm Laura Sampson.
I'm David Campbell.
With us in the studio is Jenna Suru, the filmmaker behind L'Âge d'Or, which is a French film about artists creating a world for artists in Saint-Tropez in 1967. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Excellent. And we've now reached the top 5 favorites category, or section of the show, which is top 5 favorite French films. If you haven't heard the show before, what we do in this segment is we go around the room. We start with our guest, who says their number 5 and number 4, and then we move around the room, come back to that guest who says 3 and 2, and then we go around the room and say our number 1. So we've all got our own 5 picks at the moment. Jenna, what is your number 5 and number 4?
So my number 5 is La Vie en Rose. The French title is L'amour, and it was directed by Olivier Dayan. It's an incredible biopic about Edith Piaf, which absolutely blew my mind. I even watched it, I think, only a couple of weeks before shooting L'Âge d'Or. Because it's just an incredible movie. A lot of it was shot in Montmartre, which is an absolutely incredible, stunning quartier in Paris for artists. We also shot there for the film, actually. And it's an amazing biopic and a great period drama.
She won the Oscar for that, Best Actress Oscar. Marion Cotillard won the Oscar for that year. Excellent. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is La Parisienne. It was directed by Michel Boiron. It starred Brigitte Bardot, and it's an absolutely stunning romantic comedy, I would say, kind of, about with starring Brigitte Bardot. Most of it takes place in Paris, and you can actually see the Paris of the 50s, 60s. So that's really exciting, and it's very subtle. The image looks absolutely stunning. Brigitte Bardot is incredible in it, and I also watched it when I was researching for L'Âge d'Or because you can actually see how it was at the time, and it's just quite impressive.
Excellent. That's number 5 is La Vie en Rose, and number 4, La Parisienne.
La Parisienne, yeah.
La Parisienne. This is going to be the hardest one for me to do because I'm just going to be writing it phonetically, and I'm hopefully when I type it into Google says, is this what you meant? And I'm like, yes. David, what's your number 5 and number 4?
One that I've mentioned before, Tati Danielle.
Tati Danielle, you always mention it, yeah.
Love Tati Danielle, 1990 film. brief description: a septuagenarian who's lost her husband makes life miserable for all those around her, particularly her caretaker, Clotilde, who dies as a result of her machinations. And then she goes and lives with her relatives, who she then drives completely up the wall. They leave her behind when they go on holiday. They needed to break to get rid of her and leave her in the total care of a au pair who takes no crap. And it's just the relationship. It's basically about relationships and how to manage a relationship and who's most successful with it. And Danielle is Auntie Danielle is something else. But yeah, she is managed at the end. So yes, that's Tati Danielle.
And that's Tati Danielle number 5. What's your number 4?
That's a double header actually. Jules at Jim is old French film which I saw ages and ages ago. It's always stuck in my head though because it always comes up. And basically, it's about two friends who need to go, and both fall for this girl, but she falls for one of them, marries him. The other friend goes away, comes back years later, still has the hots for her, and finds out that she reciprocates those feelings and how it goes from there.
Okay.
So,
excellent. So Tati Danielle number 5 and Jules and Jim number 2.
No.
I haven't finished. I'm saying there's a double header for number 4.
Yeah.
Jules and Jim. Yeah, okay. What's the other number 4?
Taxi. Basically, it's all about a copper who lost his license and is coming there as a taxi driven, and it's just driven around.
It's in the 90s, right?
Yeah. It's mad. It is absolutely mad. It's really, really funny. Really good film. I haven't got loads of classic French films. I'm sorry, but those are the ones. These are the ones I really enjoyed. So yes. Yeah.
Don't apologize for your tastes. Okay. Laura, what's your number 5 and number 4?
My number 5 is Belleville Rendezvous. That's what it was called in the UK. It was called The Triplets of Belleville in America, I think. It came out in 2003, directed by Sylvain Chomet. And it's just it just kind of blew me away. The surrealness of it, the beauty of the animation, the really catchy music. The way I remember it now in my mind is a bit like the way I remember a dream. And so I'm actually not quite sure what happens in the second half of the film. I know they go somewhere and they have this kind of adventure with intrigue and skullduggery and people in sacks and things like that. But it just had a really, really big effect on me, and I really remembered the whole soundtrack for a long time after.
Cool. That's
my number 5. And my joint number 4s by the same directing duo, Marc Caro and Jean-Pierre Jeunet, is The City of Lost Children and Delicatessen. I feel like they occupy the same part of my mind. Again, beautifully shot, beautiful costumes, surreal kind of steampunk storylines, both of them, and a first glimpse. I think it's in City of Lost Children of Ron Perlman, way before Hellboy.
Yeah.
Sort of action, science fiction, adventure of the kind that I had never seen before.
Okay.
So yes, thank you, Caro and Jenna, for that.
Excellent. Well, my number 5 is I say it's a double header, but it's not. It's a really long film. Mesrine, Part 1 and Part 2. It is Vincent Cassel playing Jacques Mesrine, who's this criminal gangster legend. He broke out of 4 prisons, committed about 35 different raids, and Vincent Cassel carries French charisma, raw charisma throughout the role. He's fantastic. I love that movie.
He's fantastic in everything, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he is. He's got that.
Even as the cross-dressing prince in Elizabeth.
Okay.
Remember, he gets caught wearing a dress, and it's very, very, very funny.
I haven't seen Elizabeth. Oh, sure. For Vincent Cassel,
he's not the best thing in it, but he's the second best thing in it.
If you say so. Okay, so that's my number 5, Mesrine, Part 1 and Part 2. My number 4 is A Prophet. It's about this guy played by Tahar Rahim, who goes to jail. You see him in prison. The entire movie is basically him in prison and then him coming out, and it's his education and evolution in prison, all the things that he has to go through, and it's very raw, it's very gritty, and Tahir Rahim is he's one of the most underrated, brilliant actors that I've ever seen, as foreign actors that I've seen, and that movie is for me one of my favorite of his is A Prophet. You're listening to Shoot the Breeze on Resonance 104.4 FM. I'm Marcus E. Acko.
I'm Laura Sampson.
David Campbell.
With us in the studio is the filmmaker behind L'Âge d'Or, Jenna Suru. We're about to go through our number 3 and 2 favorite French films. I just want to give a shout out to Anna Elizabeth Shakespeare. She was with us a couple of weeks ago, part of the Shakespeare Sisters, another female filmmaker, well, the filmmaking duo, wow, I am stuck for words. Female filmmaking duo, and they've just come out with a film as well at the moment called a Soundtrack to 16,
which is going to be showing at the London Independent Film Festival.
That's the one. Yes.
In a couple of weeks' time in East London.
It's a quirky coming of age. It's a lovely quirky coming of age movie. Anyway, that's. Anna has come online and she's watching us on Facebook Live. You can listen to us. You can watch us Facebook Live and see the lovely Jenna Suru by going to Shoot the Breeze on Resonance 104.4 FM and tell us what your top 5 favorite French films are. We're number 3 and number 2. Jenna, what is your number 3 and 2?
So my number 3 is Les 400 coups by François Truffaut. It was actually shot in 1959. And it's a movie that's part of the new wave, La Nouvelle Vague. This is why I think it's such an important movie. It's one of those movies that just recreated cinema worldwide, especially how the camera would be able to be more flexible, how you could actually follow the characters. It's a story that's very character-driven, especially it highlights on this small boy who knows that his father, he's basically not the son of his father.
Okay.
And you can see him going through his difficulties at school and in life. And it's just such an important movie in the era of cinema. It just changed so much even today. So that's definitely my number 3.
And your number 2?
And my number 2 is God Created Woman by Roger Vadim. This movie is so incredible. It was shot in Saint-Tropez, in and around Saint-Tropez, Ramatuelle. And again, it was a really important movie. I believe, obviously, it starred Brigitte Bardot. It's definitely, I'd say, the movie that made her famous.
Okay.
And also made Saint-Tropez famous. I believe the movie was actually, at the beginning, when it was released, it was forbidden in the US. I think it was because of one of the final scenes when she dances. And I really love this movie, just because, obviously, you get to see Saint-Tropez at the time.
Was this in the 50s?
I think it was, definitely late 50s.
Okay.
A few time ago. It's an important movie because not only did it show Saint-Tropez, but also it showed women, what a woman would be at the time, and how the character that Brigitte Bardot is being in the film is longing for change and for something different. So it's quite an important thing to be told, especially at the time.
Excellent. Okay, David, what's your number 3 and 2?
Actually, I just remembered one film that
You can't revise your list now. You can't do that now.
which I'm adding to my.
It's been sitting
my
in
list.
Go on.
My number 3 is going to be a double header.
Sure.
It's one of them is Amelie. Such a gorgeous film, and as Laura has already sort of like waxed lyrical about the director who did Delicatessen.
Yes.
And what was it? City
of Lost Children.
Lost Children. And we've already waxed lyrical about Amelie and certainly someone else.
On numerous times, yeah.
I'm gonna leave that one. And the other one is God, is my French gonna really crap here? Les Vacances de Monsieur Hulot. Or Monsieur Hulot's Holiday.
Monsieur Hulot's Holiday. I completely forgot about that one. It's not in my top 5. It can't be now because I've already done my top 5. But nice choice.
I remembered it. And forgot it, and remembered it, and forgot it. And
so is that your joint third?
That's my joint third.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a really, really classic film. Anyone who needs to watch a good comedy, watch that. That's a really classic film. So that's my joint number 3. Number 2, this is one that I've rabbited on so many times about. Viva. I love that film. I really do love that film. It's about a postman who's got who falls in love with the voice of an American opera singer. She sings La Wally. He records it. The tapes get mixed up with another tape from some gangsters who incriminate a chief constable who's been playing off the mob.
Sure.
They get mixed up, and he's chased through town by these gangsters who want the tape. But also the people who the recording artist, the divas managers who want the tape of his recording.
Sure.
Because she's never been recorded before,
Okay.
and she resisted it so many times. And
that's Diva.
This is Diva.
Okay.
When she first hears it, she comments that she's never ever heard herself before ever sing. So because she's never been recorded. It's a really, really good thing.
And that's your number 2.
That's my number 2.
Okay, Laura, what's your number 3 and 2?
Wow. I'm going to say 1, but I'm not sure whether I'm allowed it because I think it was a co-production with an Austrian production company.
I'm sure.
You're going to think I'm
should we allow
really
that?
sick
If it's
liking
French,
it as well.
Austrian, then it counts as French.
Let's ask our guest for a second. Jenna, should we allow that?
Oui.
Okay.
Thank you.
Heard that.
My number 3 is joint with another one. They're both sort of horror films, I think. Is The Piano Teacher. The first film I ever saw starring Isabelle Huppert. After that, I saw lots more, and I now think she's the best actress ever. And it's just so harrowing and kind of horrible, but in a really quiet, creeping, wonderful way, with a brilliant soundtrack. And I don't know, there was something about editing that made me feel really unsettled. Not just all of the stuff that was going on, but somehow you'd see things at a weird angle, and then you'd go back to something. Anyway, it's difficult to explain. Just go and see it. And the other horror film is Eyes Without a Face, 1960, Georges Franju.
And those are both your number 3, as
They're
opposed
both
to.
my number 3.
Okay. Eyes Without a Face.
It was Eyes Without a Face was my backup in case I wasn't allowed piano teacher. So if I'm only allowed one, I'm going for The Piano Teacher. Although
You can have both. It's okay. What's your number 2?
my number 2 is The Passion of Joan of Arc, and I love it because I think it was the first silent feature film I ever saw, and it was in a really amazing music festival where the band Godspeed You Black Emperor, Canadian band, were playing a live score to it, and it was nothing like the music that I would have expected to have gone with it, and it just made the whole thing even darker and more dramatic. And so strange soundtrack and the beauty of that film, which is very, very beautiful, stick in my mind.
That's good. Okay, I like the fact that you have a personal resonance to that particular
Well, it's
film.
so difficult to pick favorites, isn't it?
Yeah.
And all the things I've picked from my favorites are, I think, because I associate them with parts of my life. I watched City of Lost Children and Delicatessen when sort of as a date with a teenage boyfriend I had, and like Belleville Rendezvous was with friends, and we used to like line up and sing the songs, and all of that. I mean, I could go on, but I'll let you say your number 3 and number 2.
No problem. I'll rabbit on about mine as well. Right, my number 3 is half cheat because I had to crowbar this one in there. The first one is it fits the rules. Cyrano de Bergerac with Gerard Depardieu, and at the same time, the one I'm crowbarring in there as well is The Count of Monte Cristo. The reason why I went with crowbar that one in there is because you had Gerard Depardieu as well. It's a TV series. That's the reason why it's a cheat. It's not a film. It's a TV series. And Cyrano de Bergerac, we spoke about it something similar a few weeks ago when we talked about Roxanne. Roxanne was the Steve Martin version of Cyrano de Bergerac. This is the original. They focus mainly on the character himself. When he's a soldier who has a long nose and he has to woo a woman and so on. I love that movie. It is just it's just, and Gerard Depardieu will always have a place in my heart. And then the Count of Monte Cristo as well. I talked about the story about how I used to run home from school so I can come in. They were doing this was back in the 90s. They were doing, I think it was Channel 4. We're doing all week, every day. They were doing the next episode and the next episode and the next episode. And I'll run back from school so I can come and watch this. And it's French, but I didn't care. I loved that. I loved that series. Anyway, so my number 3 is Cyrano de Bergerac / Count of Monte Cristo. My number 2, we've already talked about it, Amelie. Amelie is my number 2. It's beautiful. It is a feast for the eyes. That's all I'm going to say about it. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out.
Yeah, it's a pity we didn't all sort of like know that we could crowbar in sort of like TV series. Otherwise, I would have had The Return.
I make up rules as I go along.
Yes, I know. Yes, we know. I know.
Sue me. You're listening to Shoot the Breeze on Resonance 104.4 FM. I'm Marcus E. Acko.
I'm Laura Sampson.
I'm David Campbell.
With us in the studio is the filmmaker behind L'Âge d'Or, Jenna Suru, who's about to tell us her number 1 favorite French film.
That was a tough choice. So I chose The Untouchable, Les Intouchables by Olivier Nakache and Eric Toledano. Why this one? Obviously, there are so many incredible French movies. What I really love about this movie is definitely my goal as a director, because it's a film that was produced by Gaumont, and that actually really mixes both artistic and commercial points of view, meaning that the acting is incredible. Just mentioning the script writing, the script is just so smart. Dialogues are perfect. It's just such a powerful story, but it's also so entertaining. It's such a great comedy. There's a dance scene. It's just, you just have a great time. But by the end of the movie, you know you've had a great time, but you realize you've actually tackled a really important subject.
This is where I'm going to put my foot in my mouth. Is this the one that was remade recently in America with Kevin Hart and Bryan Cranston, or am I thinking of a different Untouchable?
I think you're right, actually. Okay. I think there was a remake in America.
Because they did The Upside in America. Is the story about a rich man who is a paraplegic and he gets... so that was the one that was remade. Sure. Okay.
Inspired from a true story, and it's just a fantastic movie.
We've spoken about that one before, haven't we?
We did. When we were talking about remakes, we were talking about top 5 favorite remakes. And Kevin Hart and Bryan Cranston just did a remake with Nicole Kidman in it. So that's your number 1.
Yeah.
Obviously the French version, not the.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Not the. No offense to Kevin Hart, but he's not
original.
French. David, what's your number 1?
I've gone for something that's really raw and gritty. La Haine.
La Haine.
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, the story is a young Arab boy is beaten up in prison. It causes a riot, and I'm not going to go into too much more detail.
Vincent Cassel, the Psycho classic.
Yeah, it causes riots, and a couple of guys find something and it just changes their night. So it's very, very worth watching. It's very raw, very gritty. From people who I know who've been to Paris and that side of Paris, they say it's not very far from the truth.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that you can see that sort of tells you about the life on the, I don't know how you call them in France. So in Americans would call them projects until that.
Oh, okay. The ghetto.
Yeah. They call them projects, but they're further out of Paris, aren't they? They're well out of Paris, and then they have to travel in to get to their jobs and stuff like that. But yes. It's one of those really, really good gritty films. Yeah, it's one of the films that introduced the world to Vincent Cassel, because after that he blew up with doing a whole bunch of other stuff. But that's the first film that everyone really. He probably did a number of other films in Paris or in France, but didn't really come to the attention of the general public. But La Haine is the one where everyone now there's that iconic image in the film that is him standing. It's kind of like the taxi driver pose, where he's standing in front of a mirror and he's pointing directly at the camera, finger guns at the camera. That sticks out every time I think of La Haine. I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it. It's on my radar to see. And every time I think of La Haine, the first image I think of is him pointing finger guns at me, and I want to watch it because of that. Excellent. That's a good pick as your number 1. Yes. Laura, what's your number 1?
My number 1 is not La Vie en Rose, but Ma Vie en Rose. It's a
Who would confuse that for La Vie en Rose?
Belgian film directed by Alain Berliner. And I'm not sure it actually deserves to be a number 1, but the way it lives in my memory makes it deserve it. It's a story about a young boy who thinks he's a girl, basically. And he goes around, he lives in quite a small village, rural village, and he goes around wearing ballet tutus and stuff all the time. And people are really funny about it at first, and then by the end, they're less funny about it. And that really is the story.
Okay.
And in 1997, I think it was probably more of a story than it might be now, 20 years later. But the reason I love it is because it's the first foreign language film I went to see by myself.
Okay.
And I went off to the Riverside Studios used to do these little double bills. So I went over to the Riverside Studios one weekend afternoon, paid my ticket, just sat there like by myself thinking, gosh, I'm so clever, I'm so clever. And then these two really, really easy to watch films came on.
Yeah.
That made it even better.
Okay.
And the star of the film looks quite a lot like the character of Atreyu from The Neverending Story. And as you know,
There it is. There it
The
is. Neverending Story.
is my favourite film in the world. It has shaped my entire life, and I don't say sorry for it.
No, it's not a problem. You can just welcome back to the show, Laura, and welcome back crowbarring Neverending Story, which pushes it a little further down my
Wolfgang
list.
Peterson, if you're listening, I love you. I'm not sure whether you're in the grave or not, but
No, what? He's not in the grave. He's not dead yet. He's still
I've
alive.
got a computer there.
Exactly. He's still alive. He's fine.
good. Okay, well, I hope you're listening to the show because I love The Neverending Story. I don't care how many people hate it, I love it.
He is listening. He just sent us a message on Facebook. He's just no.
Laura, shut up.
No, she's like, you're the only person who still promotes that film. Anyway, my number one is the godfather of all heist movies. Any heist movie that you've seen owes a debt to this particular film because it's the first time that this is the first, not the first time really, but the first time that it really scorched the film. Came into our consciousness how to do a heist on television, on film, and that's Rafifi. It is basically, it's one of the, it's no matter what, even though it was made in 1955, it still stands up and it's still much better than a lot of the A-class heist movies that you watch right now. There's one scene in it, it's like in the third act, there's a second act, there's a 33-minute sequence where they're doing the heist completely dialogue free. It is such a great movie. Various bits, very intricate detail as to how they're moving, how they're cracking a safe, how they're moving the safe from one bit to the next, how they have to make sure that they don't make any sound so they don't set off an alarm. And if you're interested in heist movies, go and check out Rafifi.
Okay, when did that come out?
1955.
So do you think Ocean's 11 ripped that bit off?
Oh, absolutely. I was gonna say absolutely. Absolutely, yes. Any heist movie you can think of that has been done after 1955, there is more than likely the director has basically said, in my research to do this particular film, I watched Rafifi first it's even if they didn't watch it, they watched other heist films, and those directors watched Rafifi. So and they're very honest about it. I can't remember who did a sort of an American remake around the same time, probably John Huston, who did Concrete Jungle. I think it's Concrete Jungle or something similar. But it pretty much about 5 years before that, or 5 years after that, did a remake of that particular film. And it's just because it's so good. Rafifi is, whenever I think of doing a heist film, I watch that one again just so I can get inspiration from it. Anyway, that's my number one. You've been listening to Shoot the Breeze on Resonance 104.4 FM. I want to thank Jenna Suru for coming in and joining us today. Thank you very much for telling us about your film and about giving us these top five French films. There are a number of them that I'm right now. We're going to put that on our Facebook page, etc., so that we can go and watch and educate ourselves on French movie. But thank you very much for coming down. We will post your links as well to Large Door, so people can watch that. When obviously we get another film coming out, please come on and talk.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. That was great.
We'll have you back anytime. But yeah, anyway, so I just want to say thank you all very much for listening. For those of you on Facebook, I'm Marcus E. Acko.
I'm Laura Sampson.
And I am a nice and relaxed David Campbell.
Thank you very much for listening.
And see you next week.
So, Producer Dave, are we good for time?
We are short.
Early.
We're short. So
We're
we need
short?
to- yeah.
Just a tiny bit.
Yeah. So we need
Shall
to
we
find.
do? We've got.
Oh, when you say a tiny bit, I mean like a
We've got
minute.
an idea.
Okay.
I was going to
Shall we do
suggest.
the Netflix recommendations jingle?
Sure. Oh, we'll just tag that
Actually,
on.
what I was going to do was.
Yes, because that's quite long. That's the
Like a minute
Stanford and
Soldier.
Son, right?
Yeah.
Hit that, Stanford and Son. I like that jingle as well. It's pretty good. Anyway, Facebook. Thank you guys very much for tuning in and for listening. This is
Oh,
Jenna.
it's-
Jenna
yeah,
came in and
right.
she told us a lot about Large Door. Gerard, thank you very much for your contribution and your
Okay.
questions. It was a very insightful question that you asked. And I'm sure you've told me once or twice that you go to Santa Fe, bragging quite a bit. Jenna, how did you find coming on the show?
Sorry,
How
what?
did you enjoy the show?
That was an amazing show. Thank you so much for all those questions and your recommendations. I need to check out all those French movies to myself and
Well,
watch them.
Absolutely. We're going to be posting all of that stuff on Facebook. And when the podcast comes out on Monday, it'll be in the show notes. So you can go and check them out. We'll put the IMDb links as well. So you can just click on it, learn more about it, find out how to watch it. Anyway, thank you very much for tuning in and see you next week. Will we see you next week? Maybe
Week
not
after.
necessarily next week. The week after. So we'll see you the week after. Cool.
Right. Okay.
You guys are having a week off next week, aren't you?